In this podcast episode, Morgan Housel, author of best-selling books like The Psychology of Money and The Art of Spending Money, joins a frank conversation about money, investing, and behavior. The discussion spans topics from Warren Buffett's extraordinary investing track record to how people's mindset and behaviors affect their financial success or failure. Money as a tool versus money as a status symbol, the elusive question of how much money is enough, and the importance of personalizing financial decisions also feature prominently. Morgan shares insights on patience, trust, and stewardship in investing, along with the role of individuality and humility in financial well-being. Morgan begins by highlighting a surprising statistic about Warren Buffett's performance. Even if Berkshire Hathaway lost 99.6% of its value overnight, it would still have outperformed the S&P 500 since Buffett took over. He explains this through Buffett's roughly 20% annualized return versus the S&P's 11 to 12%, compounded over 60 years. The staggering cumulative returns illustrate the power of long-term consistent investing more than outright genius stock picking. Buffett's massive net worth, estimated at $130 billion, but could be $500 billion were it not for his philanthropy, originated from starting with a modest $10,000. Crucially, 99% of his wealth was accrued after age 60, underscoring the impact of time rather than flashy early success. Morgan emphasizes that no matter Buffett's intelligence or era, ordinary investors should not attempt to mimic his stock-picking skill. Instead, the greater lesson comes from Buffett's unparalleled patience and his reputation as a steward of companies' and investors' trust. Unlike private equity firms eager to maximize short-term returns, Buffett's approach involves nurturing companies over decades without disruptive interference. This goodwill earned him trust, enabling deals at favorable terms, demonstrating how trust and behavior affect financial outcomes. Stewardship, as illustrated by Buffett and likened to historical figures like George Washington, involves prioritizing long-term value and collective benefit over immediate gains or personal ego. Morgan discusses how a small minority of investments generate the vast majority of returns, citing Buffett's record of making most of his gains from roughly 10 out of 500 stocks. This power law means investors must accept that many bets will fail or underperform, and success depends heavily on holding on to the big winners for the long haul. The psychological challenge lies in tolerating volatility and uncertainties without second-guessing or abandoning winners too early. A parallel is drawn to venture capital, where only a tiny percentage of portfolio companies drive returns, and it's impossible to identify winners early with certainty. The key is humility, patience, and a willingness to weather setbacks. The conversation shifts to how people perceive and use money, contrasting two distinct mindsets. Money can be a tool to improve life's quality, providing independence, freedom, and the ability to pursue joy, or it can become a measuring stick for self-worth and social status. Morgan reflects openly on how even he struggles with this, acknowledging his desire to score well in financial comparisons. While enjoying the game of accumulating wealth is valid, it becomes problematic when the quantifiable nature of money eclipses less tangible but vital parts of life, such as relationships, health, and personal fulfillment. Those are notoriously difficult to measure, but crucial to overall happiness. Morgan and the hosts explore the concept of enough. How much money one needs before chasing more becomes unnecessary or counterproductive. The story of living minimally while pursuing a startup illustrates a freedom number, the minimum income needed to sustain a chosen lifestyle and maximize autonomy. This perspective prioritizes independence over status or excess consumption. Morgan stresses that independence, being able to shape your time, environment, and work on your own terms, is the highest ROI of financial decisions, far above acquiring material goods for show. The goal is control over life, not simply wealth accumulation for its own sake. Unlike the many resources on earning and investing money, Morgan points out spending often lacks guidance. He rejects rigid formulas for spending and encourages people to focus on what genuinely makes them happy, ignoring societal pressure or marketing narratives about status items like cars or homes. The idea of personal money dials, championed by others like Ramit Sethi, means aggressively allocating funds toward what matters most to you while cutting expenses mercilessly in other areas. This tailored approach leads to more satisfaction and authenticity in financial life. Morgan and the hosts share their own evolving preferences, such as temporarily avoiding travel for family stability, and underscore how self-awareness and independence from social comparison drive better spending decisions. Much of the episode centers on how deeply intertwined money is with identity, emotion, and behavior. Financial choices are often less about money's arithmetic and more about ego, fear, patience, and trust. Changing spending or investing habits means confronting these personal undercurrents, which is difficult and explains why many struggle financially, regardless of knowledge. Morgan notes that debates about money are often clashes of values disguised as disputes about facts, and that recognizing difference without judgment opens the door to healthier relationships with money. He stresses that contrary to other fields, investing outcomes rely far more on behavior than intelligence or information, making self-knowledge and emotional control essential. Morgan cites some influential figures whose work and personality have shaped his thinking. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, exemplifies humility combined with massive success and teaches how to build products and ideas like an entrepreneur, not just a writer. Value investor Monish Pabrai is praised for his communication skills and humble character alongside investing excellence. Even celebrities like Keanu Reeves are admired for balancing fame with kindness and modesty. These profiles highlight the rare but powerful convergence of expertise, generosity, and groundedness that Morgan values highly. Morgan shares his own experience as an author and content creator, explaining how unpredictable success is. The Psychology of Money initially faced rejection from every major U.S. publisher because it defied the typical formula of a central thesis, instead presenting 19 behavioral essays. Many of his blog posts and projects surprised even him by becoming massive hits. Success often came from ideas that seemed too crazy to publish. This unpredictability reinforces the importance of originality and authenticity when trying to achieve exceptional outcomes in any field. Being unconventional and embracing risk is key to standing out. The episode closes on a strong theme Morgan emphasizes repeatedly. Finance is unique because success depends overwhelmingly on behavior, not just knowledge or intelligence. Anyone, regardless of education or background, can outperform experts by mastering emotional skills like patience, humility, and managing greed or fear. This explains the vast disparities between investors with similar information but different mindsets. Morgan encourages listeners to deeply understand their own psychological relationship with money, set personalized goals, and develop the behavioral muscles to sustain long-term financial health and happiness.